What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. Freedom Fisherman here, and thank you for checking out another episode of Casting Campfires. Today, I want to talk through 5 kayak accessories that you need in order to make your fishing experience better. So if you're just a casual kayaker, some of these will still apply to you, but not quite as much as if you were a fisherman or if you wanted to, take your kayak fishing to the next level. So maybe, if you're a beginner kayak angler, you're kind of just getting into it. You've just got the bare minimum, the basics, the essentials. These would be the 5 accessories I would recommend getting first. That way your fishing can just become easier and easier, and you can kind of expand your arsenal and just get better and have more fun all around, right? So I would recommend these 5 accessories. But like I said, even if you're just kind of a casual angler, some of these will still apply, or casual kayaker, and not an angler. Some of these will still apply to you. So let's get right into it, and we will start at the top. These are in no particular order, right? They're just 5 accessories I think you need to make your kayak angling easier, more enjoyable, and more fun. So the first thing would be a crate. Kayaks, fishing kayaks have come a long way, and there is lots of room and space and storage in them relative to like other kayaks and how they've been in the past, right? I'm fairly new to the kayak fishing game. I've been doing it for just a few years now, but even in that amount of time, I've seen kayaks go from, almost no storage and deck space to, being completely open and having tons of room for things. My kayak now is 11.5 feet, and I've got plenty of room, in the front hatch area, behind me, underneath me, to the sides of me. It's got a pretty good deck in front of me even, and the seat is raised up pretty high. So storage isn't a big issue on my kayak, at least, and I know lots of others. It's not a huge issue, but it is something that we're always conscious of as kayakers. Whether you're a casual kayaker or a kayak angler, you're kind of always conscious of where things are going to go, where I've got room for things, right? Especially if you're an angler and you want to take multiple rods, you want to take multiple tackle boxes, you want to take other accessories. Like I've got my catch board for measuring fish when I'm fishing in tournaments. I usually have a scale just in case I catch a really big just donkey and I want to weigh it. I've got all kinds of other tools and accessories, and of course, I want to overpack tackle so that I've got more options rather than less. So the more tackle boxes I can put, the better. So if you have a crate, that solves, at least in a little way, it solves a little bit of storage, a little bit of your storage issue. So if you have a good crate, and you can get any crate from any manufacturer, it doesn't have to be a certain one. I'm not going to recommend a certain one. I have the Flambeau, I think it's called the Tough Crate from Bass Pro, and it comes in a box with pieces. You just build it, and it's got 2 levels to it, a small like tray on the top and then the big crate on the bottom, and then I have 4 rod holders on it. So it just gives you storage for your tackle boxes, for your gear, for your tools, for clothes or your phone or any of that kind of stuff that you don't want or you don't really have room for just out and about on your kayak, because it's not a boat. You don't have a ton of deck space, right? So it just gives you a place to store all of that. Some of the things I keep in my crate on a regular basis are my waterproof Bible, scissors, pliers, a knife, my dry box, or one of my dry boxes, which we'll get to in a little bit. I usually keep my my anchor in there until I get on the water, and then I obviously tie it to the kayak. I keep a sponge down in there, some extra bungees and paracord, just a bunch of random stuff really. But then I also have room to throw a couple of extra tackle boxes, the flat Plano boxes, in there as well, which is a pretty handy, like I said, when the storage is limited, right? And then the other thing with a crate is most crates that you buy for kayaks, for fishing kayaks, will come with some sort of rod storage system, right? So you've got some sort of rod holder that will attach to the crate that lets you carry more rods, because even the best fishing kayaks usually are limited in the number of rods that you can store on them. I've got a Perception Outlaw, so it can hold 4. I don't know how much like a Hobie Pro Angler or a Jackson Nar or like an Old Town Sportsman or any of those, or the Autopilot, whatever their most expensive one is. I don't know how many rods they can hold just with their natural, rod storage. But having a crate just allows you more, so you have more options, right? I like to take 3 to 4 rods whenever I'm out on the kayak, sometimes 5 or 6, depending on the situation, the conditions, what I think might work. I might take more rods. I'm planning on going this weekend, and I want to take 5 rods with me. So that crate allows me to put 4 rods in the crate, and then I can have 4 rods in my kayak if I need to. So I can carry 8 rods just because of my crate. So it doubles as just general storage and tackle storage, but also as rod storage as well. So I think you should definitely get a crate for your kayak to take your kayak fishing to that next level. The next thing is going to be a cart. And this is something that it kind of depends on your kayak. So for example, I have a Perception Outlaw, which is not a very heavy kayak. It's only about 75 pounds with no gear on it. Now then I start to put all of my gear on it, tackle and rods and my anchor and other gear and catchboard and, anything else that I'm going to be using. And that starts to pile up, right? And then it just makes it difficult to transport and carry and to move and whatever. Plus it's 11 and a half feet long, so it's kind of awkward to carry by myself anyway. Now, whenever I am, able to just back straight down to the water, it's easy. It's a light kayak. I don't have all of my gear on it in the truck, so I just slide it off, put my gear on it, and go. But if I have to move that kayak anywhere, any sort of distance to get to and from the water, it's just easier to have a cart. And my kayak is one of the lighter ones, right? So if you get into anything over 11 and a half, 12 feet range and up, and anything heavier than like 75 pounds and up, it's going to be really difficult to transport and move that thing unless you have some sort of cart to wheel it around. Because, for example, like with my kayak, it's not that heavy, maybe 100 to 115, 120 pounds fully loaded, but I can't carry that by myself, right? So if I put my cart under the back end of it, go grab the handle at the front end, I can wheel that thing all day long. And, well, I shouldn't say all day long, but I can wheel it, for quite a while until I give out, right? Until I get tired. But I can go a whole lot further than if I had to drag it, right? Because number one, that's going to end up damaging your kayak in the long run. And number two, it's more tiring to have to drag that thing. Now, over short distances, I don't mind a drag, the kayak here or there. But if I'm going any sort of distance, the cart's it's so much easier. And the cart is a lot like the crate. There's tons of different brands that make tons of different styles and models, and there's even like kayak specific ones that you can buy from different brands. I think the one that I have is like a Railblaza Sea Tug. I think it's also from Bass Pro. It sits flat and then it straps up over the top of the kayak, and I can cinch it down and go. I don't have to go through scupper holes to attach it. You can get kayak carts that go through the scupper holes, and that's how they attach. Mine is just a flat one that I cinch down with a strap, and it's great because then I can also use that for my John boat as well. The strap is not quite long enough, but then I double up the strap, and it works great for my John boat and also for my kayak. So it's kind of a win-win for me there. But definitely think about getting a cart. Now, for certain kayaks, this probably won't apply as much. Like my wife also has a Perception, but it's an older model Perception Swifty, and it's only a 9.5 feet sit-in kayak that's hollow. The thing's like 30 pounds. Even when she's got some of her gear in it, her paddle, tackle box, rod, whatever, I can just pick that thing up by the side and just carry it wherever it needs to go. It's not that heavy, so if you got a kayak like that, you probably don't need a cart for it. But anything like the size of mine or bigger, 11.5 feet, 75 pounds and up, I would recommend getting a cart for it. It's just going to make your life that much easier, and you won't be exhausted when you get on the water and start fishing. You have saved some energy, because that'd be the worst, right? You drag your kayak a quarter of a mile, or not even that long, right? An eighth of a mile to drag it, and then you get on the water and you're exhausted and winded from dragging your kayak and getting onto the water, that you're like, I don't even know if I want to fish now. The cart will help out with that. You'll save some energy, you'll save some time, spend more time on the water, have more energy on the water, and I think have a lot more fun. So number 1, get a crate. Number 2, get a cart. Number 3, get some sort of dry storage. No matter how experienced of a kayaker you are, no matter how experienced of an angler you are, chances are that at some point, if you kayak fish for long enough, you're going to tip, or you're going to knock things off the kayak. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. And so if you have some dry storage to put some valuables, put some things that you don't want to get wet or can't get wet, it's just going to make your life that much easier when something bad does happen. And I don't say if, I say when, because the chances are it's going to happen. So get some sort of dry storage. It can be a bag, it can be a box. I have 2 small dry boxes that I think I just got at Walmart that I tether to the kayak, that I keep like my phone, my wallet, my keys in, depending on the fishing situation. If I'm in a tournament, I usually will keep my phone somewhere on me to take a photo quickly, to get the fish back in the water quickly. But if I'm just fun fishing, I'll throw my phone in that box, and it's easy to reach and grab. If I want to snap a picture of a fish I catch or whatever, I can just grab that pretty quickly. But that dry storage, I went with the box because it's also buoyant, right? Now, ideally, a bag would be buoyant as well, depending on what you've got in it, right? If you got weights in it, it's going to sink to the bottom most likely. But the box, it's airtight, obviously, and it's waterproof, but it's got air in it. So if that does fall overboard, it's not going to sink. Right now, they're tethered to my kayak anyway, so I can just pull them up regardless. But for me, it's like just a peace of mind thing that it's connected to me. It's to my seat usually. It's connected to me and it floats. So if I end up knocking my box with my phone, my wallet, my keys off the kayak, I'm not worried about it at all. The only thing I'm worried about is maybe it floating further away than I want it to, and then I just go grab it and, no problem. All's good. But get some sort of dry storage, because you're going to want to take things, you're going to have to take some things that you don't want to lose overboard. Having dry storage is going to keep them dry, keep them safe, and keep you from losing them and potentially ruining them, right? Another thing I keep 2 dry boxes. One's for like I said, phone, wallet, keys, that kind of thing. The other one is for my GoPro gear. So if my GoPro's dead, I put my GoPro in there. I use extra batteries, SD cards, all of that goes in that other dry box and goes in my my crate. So get some sort of dry storage. It will make your life easier. It will give you some peace of mind, so you can enjoy the water, enjoy your time on the kayak a whole lot more. Get some dry storage. So crate, cart, dry storage. The next is going to be some sort of anchor system. If you are fishing out of a kayak, you need to be able to plant yourself in one place, and it's just not easy to do without an anchor. Now, there's lots of different systems. There's like the Anchor Wizard. There's just an anchor trolley system you can get from anywhere. You can get power poles for kayaks now. I mean, it's like really the sky's the limit with kayak fishing, and it's just going to continue to get better and better as the years go by. But get some sort of anchor system, even if it's a basic one. Right now, all I do is literally drop my anchor off the left side of my kayak. I forget whether that's port or starboard, but I drop it off my left side, and I just tie it to a cleat that I have on my gear track. Simple as that. It doesn't always position me in the right way, which is why I bought an anchor trolley system to put along the left side of my kayak. So that way I can adjust the anchor to the bow or the stern if I need to face a certain way. But just having an anchor system is a game changer, because now where I used to have to just constantly paddle and fight the wind or fight the current, trying to stay in a spot and make multiple casts to things. I don't have to do that now. I just drop the anchor, get in position, or like I said, relatively in position, and I can make multiple casts to things. This immediately made a difference for me the first time I did it. So earlier this year, I was fishing on a really windy day right after a storm. So the water was all murky. There was a whole lot of wind whipping me around, a lot of chop on the water, and I was in a river. So I'm fighting. It was a slow-moving river in this section I was in, but I was still fighting current and wind, trying to get into position to catch some fish. And having that anchor allowed me to drop down, stay planted in one spot, and I ended up catching like a dozen fish that day. And I wasn't out that long. I ran out of GoPro battery. I had to get back home and help out with the kids and some other stuff. So I wasn't out that long and caught a dozen fish. Why? Because I was able to plant in one place and make multiple casts at things. The fish were spawning. They were up on beds. I was able to make multiple casts at some areas I was pretty sure that there were some beds, and I caught a lot of fish. And it was primarily because I had that anchor. Without that anchor, it would have been a lot harder to catch those fish, because I'd be able to make like one cast and then I'd have to paddle for a minute or two, and then make one cast and have to paddle again, and I'd be fighting trees and the bank and getting out of position, and it would have just been a nightmare. So having that anchor allowed me to say, I think there are fish here. I'm going to make a few casts there, and then I ended up catching, a couple fish, and it was because of the anchor. So get yourself an anchor system. If you're planning on fishing out of your kayak, it's going to make your life a whole lot easier. You're going to be able to really pick apart that spot that you think looks really juicy, looks really good, that you think there's got to be fish there. You can drop down, you can plant yourself, and you can actually pick apart the water you want to fish. So get yourself an anchor system. It will make your life a whole lot easier, and you will enjoy your time on the water a whole lot more in your kayak. And the final kayak accessory that I would recommend getting is a tether or multiple tethers. And by tether, I just mean something to hook things to your boat or to your person. So I popped a picture up on the screen there. It's just, something with like a carabiner or a hook on it, or some sort of clasp, and then a bungee cord, or, some sort of rope or something to connect things to you. Because when you're on a kayak, it's easy to tip. It's easy to, wobble, and it's easy to knock things off because you don't have a whole lot of room and real estate to kind of spread out, and get cozy. So it'd be easy. It's easy to knock things off, lose things, whatever. The main things I always tether are my dry box with my valuables, so my phone, wallet, keys, and my catch board because it was expensive, and my paddle. And then I feel like there's one other thing that I usually tether, but I can't think of it at the moment. But I know those three things for sure: my valuables box, my catch board, and my paddle. I always tether to the kayak, to the seat of the kayak, because it's strapped down and not going anywhere. So I know if the kayak flips, the seat's not going anywhere, and so neither are those things that I have tethered. So, and those are the valuable things. I can't go anywhere without a paddle. For tournaments, I can't measure anything without a catch board, plus it was expensive, and I don't want to lose it. And my valuables, I can't leave if I lose my keys, and my phone. So make sure that you get tethers, even if you have to get like a dozen of these things and strap everything down, tie everything to something. It's better than losing something that you don't want to lose or that you can't lose, right? I'd rather have tethers tying everything down than to tip my kayak, get to the ramp and go, oh no, what happened to this or that, and have the rest of the day ruined. So get yourself some tethers. You can get some cheap ones. Amazon, Bass Pro, Walmart even. Like, you can get some cheap tethers to make sure things are strapped down, make sure they're secured to your boat, and that you don't lose any of your valuables. So get yourself some tethers. It will save yourself a lot of headache, possibly heartache, give you some peace of mind out there so that you can enjoy yourself and not be worried about, am I going to knock anything off the boat? If I tip, am I going to lose all my stuff? All that good stuff. You can make sure it's tied to you, it's safe, it's secure. You don't have to think about it. You can enjoy the thing that you're out to enjoy, which is being on the water, being on the kayak, doing some fishing, which is what you should be thinking about, not, all your valuables or all the stuff on your kayak or what could go wrong, right? So there you go, guys. 5 kayak accessories I think you need if you're a beginner kayaker, beginner angler, beginner kayak angler, I guess is the way I should have said that. Start out with these 5 accessories and then go from there, right? None of these accessories are like game changing, and a lot of like veterans to kayak angling are going, yeah, those are like the beginner, the basics. Like I've had all of those since day one. That's the point, right? If you're a beginner though, I would start here, get these 5 accessories, make sure you got everything secured, you got all the storage you need, you've got the transportation you need, you have everything you need so that you can focus on the fishing and then just go from there. That's the great thing about kayak fishing, in my opinion, is it's really customizable. The boat is a canvas and you can do whatever you want with it. But I do think that you need these 5 accessories in order to, well, just make your time easier, right, on the water, but just to make it more enjoyable and easier. But you need these in order to be as functional and as efficient as you can on the water. And it's just going to make your fishing, your kayaking that much more enjoyable, easier, more fun, all that good stuff, which is what we always want anyway. Guys, thanks for checking out another episode of Casts and Campfires. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you're listening to podcasts or watching this. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you leave a good rating or review, because it really helps out the show a lot more than you might even realize. So thank you for doing all that. Thanks for checking this episode out, and we will see you on the next one. Peace.